it's all good?
Yes, wonderful.
Thank you. So let's start. My name is Sébastien Charron, and I've been doing game development for more than 12 years, indie and AAA, PC, mobile, VR, everything's kind of a melting pot of game dev. And I have also been at Unity twice, doing system like Game Foundation, Game Grow, and lately the UGC package. I have been a Unity teacher where I have teach Unity to more than 4,000 students in a school that I founded here in Quebec, in Montreal. And I'm currently the tech lead at Squido, Squido Studio, where I'm making the JungleXR kit that I'm going to talk a little bit later, but it's our template to make those VR social game. Squido Studio has been founded in 2019. We are a studio exclusively in Montreal, and we have made two big games for now, which is No More Rainbow and DigiGods, which have more than 500,000 players each, and very great rating. And currently, we are working on a bunch of little project, social VR games still, but we are currently building more than 20 projects in-house with the Jungle Kit, what we call the Jungle Kit. And this is what I'm gonna use here to show you how to build those games, because the entire kit was built for prototyping and designing quickly VR social game. And so, social game, social VR, what is that? You might see me reading a little bit because English is not my native language, and for the less technical part of my thing, I have wrote some text so I don't search my words. Don't be offended by that. So social VR is what it is. It's where the tech is disappearing. We stop thinking about the graphic and frame rate in social VR. What is important is just people being people. When you wave at someone, when you interact with someone, when you bump into someone, and that feel real, that's what we call presence in VR game. And that's what we are chasing when we are making social VR game. So game like Gorilla Tag, No More Rainbow, DigiGods, Animal Company, Hug, Yeeps, they all have the same idea, different way of showing it. They're not trying to be realistic. They're trying to feel alive. Gorilla Tag is just pure motion, just raw physical play. No More Rainbow turn the motion into chaos in humor with creatures that bounce around like cartoons. DigiGod push it into the UGC side of thing, where we let player create their world in a sandbox into the social space, so they create the world together socially. Animal Company turned the physics into a bit of a comedy show. It's clumsy, it's chaotic, it's in the best way possible. So it's just fun to interact with everything. Yeeps and Hug are a great example of how movement become expression and identity in social games. So these games are all their own tone. They have their own tone, sorry. Some silly, some more creative, some weird, but it's all the same core. They are all going to present through the motion. The joy doesn't come from the visual or the tech behind it or anything. It comes from how it feels to exist and interact with everyone in the world. So how do we start making that kind of world with interaction and locomotion and everything? We need to, in this market, we need to go fast and confidently. So the best thing to do is to start with a base, either the Unity XR template or Photon sample, that I'm sure Sébastien will talk more about it later, or something like what we are using at Squido, the JungleXR kit. So a kit that you have a dedicated team that build it, and then you use that base to just prototype quick idea. With the JungleXR kit at Squido, we are able to have an idea, pitch the idea, design the idea, prototype the idea, and pitch it to investor inside 24 hours. So it's real fast. Everything is there. We are taking the project and we can start with the real game mechanic right away. This is really important, so we can fail fast and restart. That's the thing. So with those kit, with those sample kit template, whatever, however you want to call it, what is great is that the presents begin right away. You start those template and you can already feel the world, interact with the world right away. And this is what is the most important thing here. It allows you to go real quick. It's not all perfect, but it's way enough to prototype your idea and know if it's gonna fail or succeed. So why locomotion is hard? So locomotion is hard to achieve, to feel correct and to feel right in your world. So the locomotion is the hardest thing to get right in VR. It can get people dizzy, and if they get dizzy, it's done. They are going out. The brain expect the motion, and sometimes the headset will not deliver it. This is worse. This is the worst case scenario. You don't want to do that. So you have to do some tricks around to mitigate that. So you keep the acceleration short, you go to short bursts, you ground your movement, you make sure the camera is always stable, that there's no shake for nothing. We're gonna go into how to code that more in detail later, but just this is important. You got to get the locomotion right away. And of course, you never move the player heads without him moving the heads. So not every game use a physical locomotion. Some will just use joystick or teleport movement, which is fine. Joystick is the most familiar to traditional game. A little bit risky. It can give quite fast the dizziness and motion sickness that we try to avoid. The teleport is the safest option. You point and you move there, but it's breaking the immersion. That's not really what we want in a social VR game like that. So the physical motion is our best guess here, and even if it's hard to get, we need to get it right. On Quest, one of the hardest thing to do is to get to 72 on Quest 2, more importantly, is to get to 72 FPS and don't move from there. So the performance will affect the comfort. If we are under 72 FPS, we are not going to get a good feeling. We are going to get motion sick and stuff like that. We don't want that. So to get that right, it's important to bake lighting, no dynamic lighting in scene and stuff. You minimize your dynamic gameplay, so limit the physics and all the physical interactions. And yeah, keep 72. You are going to profile and try to get to stay at 72 FPS minimum. Every millisecond matter here. In multiplayer, lag, sorry, lag will be a little bit inevitable. There will be some latency. It's just normal. You try to predict your movement locally, blend the correction over time, and the important thing here is to don't chase the accuracy, chase the believability. So it's important that it is believable, not that it is accurate. And one thing that is important too is the end alignment. Often it's disregard or saw as non-important, as it will be okay anyway. This is not the case. This is really important. The player feel it when the ends are not aligned correctly, and we need to align them correctly by headset. Every headset, every kit, VR kit, is different a little bit and have some offset. It's important to get that right. And how I get my game done is that I use a 4 pillar for my MVP, which is kinesthetic fun, creator ready chaos, weekly visible change, and search first packaging. So when we are trying a new demo, a new prototype, first thing first is the kinesthetic fun. The movement by itself must be fun. It's a must. It's a no-go if something is wrong there, which we can just skip the rest of the prototype. It's not going well at the start. So things like swinging, jumping, grabbing, all that thing that player interact with need to be very fun by itself and not a struggle. Creator ready chaos, it's a little bit of unpredictability, so player can improve and make the world their own. So it's important. It's where when you have a physics that is not perfect, that is totally okay because it creates some chaos and our player is taking advantage of that chaos. That's when people laugh, experiment, and get to emergent gameplay with that chaos. Weekly visible change, it's something that we need to keep in mind when we are building the game. We are going to iterate and make a lot of weekly updates. So the system and everything need to be built with that in mind. It need to be easy to switch things. And search first packaging, the market is kind of crowd. Every market on the game industry is kind of crowd. And it's important that you design your mechanic, the visual, and the marketing of your game for discoverability and for instant readability. When I see a GIF of your game, I shall understand what's happening right away. I shall recognize X or Y mechanics from other game. It should be an instant sell for me, and I shall not try to understand what I'm seeing. These four ideas, fun motion, playful chaos, steady update, instant readability, these are the compass that we are using at Squido to make all our game currently. What we are calling Gorilla Locomotion is the movement that Gorilla Tag use and has practically invented, but which is moving by pushing our body with our hands into the ground, and this is cool and this is fun to move because it's about physical propulsion. It's not thumbstick and stuff. So we are moving because we are moving. It's a bit of a bad quote, but this is what it is. It feels good. It feels immersive. It feels real because when I push onto the ground, this is moving my character, and we feeling that we are part of the world. This is really important, and I think that's why Gorilla Tag has such big success. It's because games like that are really making you part of their world. Okay, now, for a little bit more technical side, the locomotion encode. So I have extract from my kit a little bit more than 20 little points that is important to get right when you are making your locomotion system in Unity. These are culprit that most studios fall into when they are making their first game, and that is what is killing the performance of their game. So this is the part where you are taking notes. So first, an obvious one for some, not so obvious for other, is to run the physics into the fixed update. The fixed update in Unity is made to run the physics side of things, and to read the input in the update. Don't do the same in the update. Don't do both in the update or in the fixed update. They should be separated. They are not the same system and don't answer to the same input. So it's important to read into update, apply the physics into fixed update. And you pass the cached input into the fixed update. So basically, when you are reading in your update, you cache your input into variable, and then you're applying in fixed update from what you have cached before. That keep the motion consistent, and you can also guard code path with the property time.inFixed time step. So if you are forced to be outside of the fixed update loop, you can still check with infixed type step if you are somehow in a fixed time loop. So you can still apply some force in the update if you are checking it correctly. But it's better to just go into the fixed update. There's not much situation where you're gonna be forced to not use the fixed update. Interpolate visual, not physics. So the player set the player rigid body to interpolate, apply the force, and let them do what they think. Do what they do. If your visual is lagging or jittering because of something in the physics, then you need to learn that that visual so it doesn't shake with the physical rigs. This is important because sometimes you try to fix the jittering, but it's not really the update loop or the visual loop or anything. It's the mix of both them that try to sync together and cannot. So just make a buffer between them. Tweak the physics step and step of spanning force. So you can lower the physics step a little bit so it feels tighter. Do not chase necessarily the render rate at 72 FPS for physics. It's usually way overkill. For example, in DigiGods, we are rendering the physics rendering is at 36 hertz and not 72. So it's one physics frame for two visual frame. So again, it's because the Quest has limited performance, the Quest 2 at least. So you don't want to kill your CPU just with your physics. Use primitive collider for ends and world. Capsule and box are cheap. Mesh collider are heavy, and if they are not convex, it's a killer. So you don't want them. If you need to use mesh collider to have a little bit more of accuracy in your collision, then go convex, and only if it's absolutely necessary. Often 2 box collider or 3 can do the shape that you want for way cheaper than a mesh collider. I just noticed that this one is in the bowl. Oh, sorry. Keeps over cost sane. So for non-critical body solving, don't go. If you take code from Gorilla Tag template or stuff like that, you're gonna see that they iterate a lot into the physics collision of the end and stuff. You can lower that and a little bit, and don't do that at every frame. So you can go with player need higher iteration than props in your world, for example. So you don't want to. You can adjust, fine tune the number of time that you're recasting or checking for collision or stuff like that, based on the type of object that you are using. Collision filter first. You set the layer collision matrix. Most of them, when we are prototyping, we forget about the physics matrix in Unity and we just leave it right there. But it's pretty costly, and yeah, you need to do some cleanup in the matrix. So it's not every layer that check attack every other layer. And there's also a cost in that matrix based on where one layer is compared to another layer. So for example, the first layer checking against the 32nd layer is more costly than the first layer checking against the second layer. So this is something to keep in mind too. And you can also disable things like end versus end, except if you want to do I5 in game or stuff like that, versus VFX and stuff like that that we don't interact with. And you can also, in the physics setting of Unity, change the broad face pair depending on your game. There's more optimized broad face pairing that exists, where you're gonna go, for example, in 2D instead of 3D when you're checking collision. So it's way less costly, more performant. Prefer trigger to manual check to heavy collision stack for climb volume, grind zone, and stuff like that. Trigger with non-alloc query are cheaper than constant rigid body contact. So using physics fair cast non-alloc instead of physics fair cast is a great improvement, where we can use that and cache our hit array and reuse it, so we don't use the garbage collection every frame for that. No link, no closure, no boxing in hot path. So when we are doing the motion, that's what I call the hot path for our social VR game. We try to make no allocation, no memory allocation as far as we can. This is keeping the garbage collection flat. And if the garbage collector doesn't fire during your frame, then your Unity doesn't lag. Pull everything, even the haptic, the audio one-shot, temporary hit mark, gizmo, everything that you can pull, enemy, weapon, bullets, VFX, anything that you can pull it. In your runtime, you should have no new and no destroy. I forgot to write destroy, but in your runtime, you should have no creation, no destroy of anything. This is causing GC to be called, to be fired, and every time the garbage collector is fired in Unity, Unity need to pause. See, it is simple as that. I have so many people use, I don't use that, but I have so many tutorial using that, where we are using animation curve to evaluate motion and try to make it more feel more right. But animation curve are extremely costly. If you do that, try to even do a system that will compute a small LUT instead, and you push the response in sample through a normalized speed instead through that LUT. Not using the animation curve. Animation curve is really costly, and on Quest 2, we don't have that kind of room to do that. And cap velocity and angular velocity on the body and ends, because the hard clamp prevent explosion and not a number impulse when networking correct state. So if there's a lag, often the networking is gonna try to correct that lag, and you're gonna have, if you were into an input, you're gonna have a big explosion of force, and you don't want that, because that's gonna make your player jump and maybe even get out of the level. One right bar frame. So a lot of people are using rigid body and transform too loosely during one frame. They're gonna get a value, set a value, get another value from the transform, reset the transform again, and re-get it. Every time that you get and set a value into the transform, you got a chance, depending on your scene, on the hierarchy of the object, and a bunch of stuff, but you have a big chance of firing a total recalculation of the scene, of the physical matrix, of the rendering matrix, and of the transform matrix. It's better in Unity 6. They have fixed some of them, but if you're not using the transform array system in dots, it's gonna cost you a lot. So the thing to do here is to take your transform at the beginning of the frame, or cache your transform in awake, and just cache the value at the beginning of the frame. You iterate through those values during the frame, and at the end of the frame, when everything is done, you're writing back to the transform only once. Sleep and wake sanely. So increase the sleep threshold of ambient props so physics does less work. Often Unity physics will have some little quirk, and the object will not cease to be awake in the scene, even if they are not touched by anyone or not into a motion. They will move a little bit inside the physics, and they will not go into sleep, and so they are iterating every frame to fix their physics. So you can increase that threshold a little bit, so it came asleep more easily. You can also, of course, wake them up by yourself when you're grabbing in, and just deactivating them when you're not grabbing in. The multiplayer system often allow you to use interest area or zone. Don't remember what's the name for Photon, but I know there's something like that. And so you can use those area of interest to awake and put asleep some props, toys, component in your world, so the network is not operating on them too. Avoid continuous collision except when truly needed, so fast projectile, for example. But even for fast projectile, in our context, I will say don't use fast projectile, just use array casting. Often a real projectile in our world is not required. You can fake that very well. So Ensign player can often use discrete collision and not continuous if speed are limited. Of course, if you are allowing your player to do Superman and go at 200,000 kilometers per hour, this is not a good idea. But this is probably not a good gameplay idea either. So yeah, just fit your depending on your mechanics and how your game is, try to avoid continuous collision. Haptic and audio can be throttled, so repeated and pack into a single pulse. So try to not stack them. In other words, try to merge them, or even limit them to a certain amount by hexagon. So it still feel real, but it doesn't stack up infinitely. If you have like a machine gun that fire 100 bullet by second, you don't need 100 sound effects for that by second. Service boundary. So I like to use a service locator pattern with service for everything in my game. Service can be stud and replace. So you can have, for example, a locomotion service that use all your physical locomotion and stuff, and you want to swap it, and you can swap it to another service with the same interface. Really easy. Yeah, I'm not going into too deep into the service pattern here, but this is a good way to be able to switch between services, between system or concept, and also just toggle them off and on. Network hygiene, quantize position and velocity before sending them. Often there's a little bit too much accuracy that we don't need in VR. I will not go into network too much. Sébastien will do that right after. But just know that, like I said before, we are chasing believability, not accuracy. So quantize and play with your value that you're sending, so you have enough accuracy, but at the same time it's not a bottleneck if you're making a game with 10 or 20 player in your room, make sure that this is scaling, because there's a big difference between 2 player and 20 player in a room when your value is not sanitized. And use scriptable object for tuning. So when you have a set of parameter for your locomotion, for example, instead of putting it directly into the object, create scriptable object with them. So you can create multiple of them and fine tune them and just switch them really easy into your object. For QA and even designer that want to test things, this is a real life changer. This is my last one, I think. Yeah, for the code, this is my last one. So order of operation matter. How you apply the force, how you apply your rotation, in which order you apply it is really important. So you apply enforce, you apply the constraint correction. After that, you apply the camera alignment in late update. So after everything has been done, you avoid camera adjustment that contradict any physics results. So you don't want to go inside the wall, for example. Cheap ground truth. You don't need a lot of raycasts. Often we see tech demo from Electronic Arts or Ubisoft, and they show you their gizmo, and they have like 100 raycasts on the ground that watch everything. You don't have that kind of performance on VR, so you don't go there at all. Use a sphere cast, a simple sphere cast for the ground checks, nothing complex. You cache the result, you keep that stable, you keep that cheap. And you keep a profiler discipline, so you profile on device, not on your computer, because that means nothing when you're running through the MetaQuest link. Your computer is way beefer, way more powerful than the headset. So it's important to often profile on the device. You track your CPU physics, you track your script time, the render thread time, and you watch the GC allocation. Normally, for the motion, for everything that is for the motion, the perfect case that you want is 0 byte by frame, no allocation at all. You have a sample scene with no dynamic, nothing. You just have a plane and your locomotion. There should be no garbage collection at all. It's a bit utopic. It's not really the reality, but this is what we are chasing. Rapid prototyping pipeline. So in VR, you don't know if it's fun until you feel it. It's important. Like I return to my test in device. When you do something, you have to go right away inside your headset and to test that. What you are doing in prototyping while prototyping is the development of your game. So if you see my little slide on the side, don't do the first one where you are building piece by piece and taking 2 months to get to a playable state. And then after 2 months, you try your game and it's just not good. And you just wasted 2 months. And you don't know what part in that is wrong. So instead, you are building something small, but that works, and you are going up in that way. So you are trying to build modular prefab for locomotion, for toys, for multiplayer, so you can do variant in Unity, and with those variant, create your new mechanic, your new content and stuff. This is what we are doing in the JungleXR kit, for example, and it allows us lately. I just finished the first pass. I just released the 1.0 of the kit like 2 weeks ago, and already we have. There's many projects that started while we were building it, but already since it's all done, we have games that are being pitched every 24 hours because we can just take the kit, everything is working. We have our avatar, we have everything that you need, and we are starting to make the real game right away. For example, I have one game last week that started, and right away they were starting with the GPU instancing of enemy, which normally in prototyping is really not at the beginning. I have also a 30 days MVP loop that we try to keep. So keep your goals small and clear. That's what we are calling that. And into 4 weeks, we are going week one. We make that, we make everything move, everything interactable. We make what we need to be playable with. Week two, this is the social week, everything that is network and chat and everything like that. Week three, we lock down for the stability. We have already our contain. Now we are optimizing to be sure that it's running on Quest 2 and we don't have too much issue. And week four, we are polishing and basically we are repeating that. So we, yeah, build, test, we learn as fast as possible and we repeat. If it's not good, we scratch that and restart. You don't have to be afraid. You need to not be afraid to scratch and restart. And if it depends on how you take your projection, of course. If it's been 3 months that you are working on something and you just realize that the game is not good, yeah, it's hard to scratch and restart, but that's why you want to go to through iteration every time. Yeah, and make sure that every prototype that you do has a purpose, has a goal. So it's not just, oh, I'm doing something. You try to prove something with the prototype that your game need to be approved, even if it's just approved by you. Design for presence, not perfection. So social VR is a choreography. It's not really engineering. You want, like I said, you want the feeling, not the accuracy. The presence is more important than the realist, which was more important than the perfection. So everything into presence, you just want to chase that. This is what you want. This is where emergent gameplay appear. This is where the immersion of your world win. You build for emotion, not control. So you want your player to feel your world. And yeah, the player is the keyword here. The present, you cannot ship your presents. You cannot make a game and say, okay, I have everything for presents. Only your player can create the presents. So you need to equip them with everything that you can so they create their emergent world inside your world. And that's all for me. A very big thank you to all of us to have listened to me about all that stuff that I am really passionate about and that I like to share. If you have more question about how we make our stuff at Squido and about our jungle kit or anything, like I said at the beginning, Squido is very big on the community part of the VR family, and we are here to help anyone that want to make a strike in inside the VR industry. That's all, folks.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Sebastian. Some people are asking how they can access to this jungle kit. Is there any link or?
No, it's not public, but it's available. It's available, but you need to reach me first. So
Okay,
I'm gonna put my email into the
yeah, that
chat,
would be great.
and yeah, you can
And
reach me
if you
about
have
that.
any Discord or something, you can also share so people can also find you there. People are saying it's
Yes,
insightful. Um,
yes, I will give you that in a moment.
and one person is asking, can you go back to the locomotion in code slide? I think they will they will capture. For everyone here, we will send the slides and the recording. But yeah, let's. I think this is one of the most important slides, so let's do one more time there.
Yes, just
Um,
give me 1 second because my Google just
Crashed.
somehow unlocked me. All right, I have it back. Sorry for that.
All good, all good, all good.
Share. So which slide was it?
Locomotion in code.
Yeah, all those slide, in fact, right? Because there was like 5 of them.
Yeah, I think I know. Maybe there's a question about that. I think they really wanted to see. Um, maybe
But
this
like
is
you
very
said, You're gonna give the presentation after that?
Exactly.
So yeah, because there are 23 points here, all important, and I think yeah, if you can give them the presentation, that's gonna be the best. And if they have, I'm gonna be sticking around for question if they have in the Q&A, but they can also reach me at my email, which I'm gonna write right away when I get.
Wonderful.
I need to stop sharing again to get my
Yeah, so
so
what we can do is let's also go through Photon Fusion site
yeah,
with the Photon team, and
Sure.
afterwards we can basically take all the questions together. How does that sound?
yes.
Perfect. Sebastian, and I'd like to also thank you to the Photon team as well. We are really looking forward to like seeing a lot of Photon Fusion powered projects in this competition. Last year there were very interesting projects on their post. I think so just maybe one question before starting, Sebastian. Do you think this 25 days is enough when you think of photon fusion capabilities to build something multiplayer? Because some people are a little bit hesitant, oh, multiplayer will take months to build, etc. So we would love to hear some good news from you today.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to share here. My goal here is to make sure that you feel reassured and that if you want to start creating multiplayer thing, you feel comfortable. And typically we will build something from scratch during the presentation so you can see what is happening and the kind of thing that can help you to provide. So
Wonderful.
I think it might give some answers. So exactly what we are going to see here is how to easily build an application from scratch. So on our side at Photon, we are building things to help you, and that's what we are going to see here. So I started the presentation, in fact, due to that, because that was exactly the idea. To explain that our goal here is to make sure that you have an idea of how to bootstrap your XR application, and that's exactly what you can use for the hackathon here, or then to prototype your next application. On my side, I'm working at Photon. I'm mostly helping our XR customers, so we are dealing with support to be sure that we answer all their needs. But also, as we will see, we are preparing samples for this domain, and we spend a lot of time on this specific topic because we know that people might be frightened due to the various technical points to address, and we want to make sure that you feel comfortable. And also on my side, I'm trying to make sure that what we are doing can be reused somehow by you. And that's what we are going to see here. So here I'm starting to showcase a few things to you today. Keep in mind that one of my colleagues, Richard, will be in the Unite event. So you will be able to have a direct contact with him. And globally, he's building these things with me. So he will be able to answer all your questions. So regarding what we are going to see today, quickly I will explain what is Photon. Then I will describe how we can help you a bit more precisely and the approach that we have to be sure to help you. And the art of the session is to showcase an hands-on session where we build something. But beforehand, I will spend just a few minutes on architecture, just to explain the kind of approach that we want to suggest to make things easier. And after the hands-on, I will come back on a few additional components that I won't have time to demonstrate here, but that are still very interesting, maybe for the hackathon, but also in the current context of the need for applications. So quickly, regarding Photon, maybe you already know our company, but just to give you an idea, as I said before, our mission, our goal is to make sure that we make multiplayer simple for you. We are building the best netcode SDK so that you can focus on what is important for you. The networking part, we are handling it, and we are giving you all the resources so that things become clear and simple for your product. On our side, we do not publish any games or product by ourselves, but we can demonstrate what we are doing just by the number of developers and studios that are working with us, more than 1 million. And our cloud is handling more than 1.5 billion players per month. So clearly on this side, we are used to dealing with multiplayer. And this kind of number comes from the success of our customers. So we spoke about Gorilla Tag before, but we have also Animal Company, Breachers, maybe you know about this one. On mobile, you also have Stumble Guys, and many games that you see that are built upon Unity are using our cloud and solutions to network their games. And while we have a long history on gaming, keep in mind that we are also providing the tools we have here also for industry customers that are not building games, but application, meeting solution, medical application, and these kind of things. Regarding the tool we are providing, we have several kinds of SDKs. All of them are relying on our core part real time that is very strong and used for a long time on our cloud. And while we have several kinds of tools, we are making sure to help you and to select the proper one for your needs. So we have tools on our website, but we can also help you decide what is relevant for you. Here in this presentation, I will focus on Fusion and Photon Voice, mostly because this kind of setup is very common for XR application. You could use other things, but this one is really, really common. So regarding what we are doing to help you in XR development, as I said, we have the same love here for XR that we have for other topics, and we want to make it simple. That's why at Photon, we have a dedicated XR team, fully focused on building these XR samples, mostly for industry customers, but we are also helping gaming customers. And the kind of loop we have here is that we listen to your request on support, to what people need, and we try to find where things are a bit complex or where there is some initial guidance. And based on that, we created a lot of samples on various topics, more describing use cases like meeting or training, other one or more mostly on technical things like how to compress finger tracking data and this kind of need. And while we are preparing these samples, we detect when, okay, in several of these samples, we needed some components. And every time we need to reuse them, and we think that they could help some customers. And so from these samples, then we start to build add-ons. The idea is to have some positive loop where we extract these little reusable components and we improve them progressively so that on our side, we make samples faster. And also some customer can use them to bootstrap and prototype their application very quickly so that they can focus on our more specific needs, so that then they can ask more advanced capabilities to us in support. Then we have new samples ideas. So we create new add-ons, and then we are starting to have quite an interesting setup of components to share. For all those components, you can find them on our website. So in the industry section, but as I said, it also works for gaming. You can find a package where we have put all these add-ons together. And in fact, we bundled them in a ready-to-use project. You can download it. You have an XR project ready to use. All the add-ons are inside it. You can remove the one you don't use, of course. You have dedicated documentation for each add-on so that you can see what it is doing and how to use it. And you are ready to go from here. The project is already configured. And also, we know that many among you will want to target the Meta platform for the Quest, and maybe you want to add the social platform component and these kind of things. So we made another version of the same package with the Meta packages already inside it, and also with a few additional demonstration scenes and so on, so that you can be comfortable. You download this second link that you can find in the Meta Quest section of our website, and you are ready to go to start your project in mixed reality or XR and with networking. So before going deep inside an actual demonstration, just a few minutes on how we suggest to organize an application. Suggest is an important point here. Keep in mind that there are other choices. Maybe some of them are relevant in some cases, but we are suggesting some kind of architecture to make things as simple for you as possible. So that if you are used to some non-network components, you can use them quite easily. So first, what is a network immersive application? In fact, in this kind of application, you have several steps. First, you need to collect the user input, the position of your headset in space, the controller, these quite common things in XR application in a generic way. Then you need to synchronize them over the network. And finally, you want to make sure that they are displayed in the same way on every client. To address this, we have very common pattern that we are suggesting, just that you prepare what we call an hardware rig. It's where we are collecting the input data, the finger positions, the controller position in space, these kind of things. As I said, very, very similar to what you would do in an offline application. And then for every user, we have one network object, the network rig, that we spawn and that everybody will see. And for the local player, this network rig follows the hardware rig for the local player. And then the network rig, as a network component, take care of synchronizing its position so that everybody see your movement replicated everywhere. So in a typical application, you have this kind of setup where everybody see, in every client, you see all the network rig of the player. That's their user representation. And just locally, your network rig is following your hardware rig so that the positions are synchronized quite easily. Regarding what is inside a network rig, as I said, I spoke about the headset, controller, and so on. We call them rig parts inside your components so that you can see it. So, and you can also have other kind of things. You could have some stylus, things like that, but you can have also your own specific body tracking components so that you have for your specific need. It's possible to add them in this process. The idea is always the same. You have a network rig part that follows its hardware rig part counterpart for your local setup. And this way, this pattern is very, very systematic to think about, and you don't have to think too much about it, especially as we will see, we are providing some of these components out of the box, so you don't have to think about this pattern too much. So now we can start having fun. We will build quickly a little application. So here I've taken the repository for Meta so that I have the Meta component too, and we'll discuss it. During the presentation, I will try to explain the various little bricks that I'm using, but I won't focus on this. You will see them in the replay. And first, we'll start by building the hardware rig. So keep in mind, this part is mostly the offline part, the part where I'm collecting the local user informations. So let's go into Unity. So to have your hardware rig, you have several solutions. First, if you find into the project or Fusion add-on folder, so you can see our main add-ons here. One of them, the XR shared add-on, is the most basic one that is used for many things like finger synchronization, rig definition, and that's where our core definitions are. And inside it, we have prepared some default rig already available, so an hardware rig and network rig. So you could simply take this one, and you have something ready to go to be able to track your camera, your controller, your hands, and it will work out of the box. If you want to have a little better understanding of what is happening, something that we prepared recently, not really to be used in project, but more on a pedagogical level, let's say. We have prepared an hardware rig setup component, auto-schematic setup component, where you have every step that you need to create first, really just a rig, then add the little components to track it. And every time you will press on it, you will have a little explanation. So if I select this one, I will do everything in one time. And here in the console, you have a few explanations about what we did so that you could understand. Again, it is mostly if you want to go deeper into this. But here, I will use a third solution. As I have the Meta setup project, I will use it. So how to do that? We have some discussion with the Meta team, and during this discussion, they we saw that they made something quite great. They prepared some building blocks. So maybe you are already aware about that, but they have this screen dedicated for the Quest, where you can add to your application some components. It's very easy to set up your rig. And so here, for the hardware rig, I will simply say, I want a camera rig where I have controller tracking and hand tracking. And you will have something very similar to what I showed you before. So the implementation we have in our packages is not dependent on the meta setup. You can use it in a cross-platform way. But if you are only targeting Quest, you can do it this way, and it's quite simple too. On our side, so that it is recognized by what we have, we need to flag it as an hardware rig. So we just need to add one little component to do that. Mostly this component will say, oh, this thing is an hardware rig, and at runtime, it will detect the controller and the end, and make sure to flag them as the appropriate rig parts. So for those of you who know Unity, you know that sometimes it has some hiccup like that where it freezes for no level, for no reason. Just 1 second. So in the meantime, I will explain what I will do. Thank you, Unity. So I will add this meta bridging hardware rig component. And just with that, this rig will be recognized as an hardware rig by the various components we offer in the add-on. So now that we have our hardware rig, what we will do from here, as I said before, once you have our hardware rig, you want to define what will be the actual thing that you network for other user. The hardware rig by itself, it's just collecting position in space, but now you want to be visible and to do some actual thing. Again, we have several ways to do it. We have components ready to go to do that. But here, since we have the meta component, I will use their tools because they have added some networking components, including some that are compatible with Fusion. So if I go again into the building blocks, into the multiplayer section, you have this auto matchmaking thing where if I add this, I have several options and I can select, oh, I want, because their tool is detecting that we have Fusion, so it will spawn what is required in the scene to start a connection. So I've added it. So it created two things. First, it created a network manager. The main thing to have in mind here is that they added a network runner. It is a Fusion component that globally is the heart of the network connection. That's where everything is unloaded regarding the objects that are created in the scene or that are spawned during runtime. They have also added a component that we offer Fusion Bootstrap that allow to say how you want to start your connection, because in Fusion you have several modes. Here I won't go into details. You can check our documentation, but we are using the shared topology. That is something very, very common and relevant for XR. You can also select the room where you will connect by default. So demo hands-on, for instance. Let's call it like that. And with this, you have a connection that is starting, but you don't have a network rig to spawn. For instance, for now, you won't spawn anything. So on the meta side, they are providing building blocks to spawn a network avatar, but you need to do some specific setup for that. Here, we will use a network rig that we will provide. So to do that, we'll go on the network manager, so next to the runner, and we just add a user spawner. So it's a component that we provide in our add-ons and that allow you to give a new Unity prefab that will be the network object that you spawn. I told you that we have ready to go hardware rig and network rig. And so we have network rig with a network object so that it is something that the Fusion runner recognize. And in this one, we have just finger and controller tracking, or we can have this beautiful one with a little avatar. We'll take this one. So for now, we'll take the one we provide. We don't need to customize it. And we have already a network application ready to go. So I will take a second editor. So sharing my screen and launching two applications with both the game view and the scene view visible at the same time will kill a bit my computer. Don't worry if it's a bit laggy. So I'm starting the first one, and this I'm using Parallel Sync here. It's a tool to be able to have the same project used in two Unity projects. So the same folder duplicated with link to be able to work on two devices at the same time. So where am I? So I'm starting the two installs. Here we go. So by default, we have created our network rig to be sure that we only see the over avatar, because you know I have a cap and this kind of thing and I don't want to see it. But you could define over options to see it. So globally, you can, when you see an avatar, it's the one for the over computer. So you see my finger tracking, and what I'm doing with my hand is also synchronized on the other side. But as we are on the same position, it's a bit confusing to watch, so we will add some locomotion to understand this a bit more. So that's the next step I want to address, how to add basic locomotion and grabbing. So regarding locomotion, here I have not added a pass-through. So globally, we can do some locomotion. Sébastien explained before that there are several options for locomotion. Here I will add some teleport locomotion to be sure that people don't get sick with a fader. Of course, you can do your own kind of locomotion that is a bit more clever and relevant, but for this setup and for many applications, it can be relevant too. So to do that, I will simply go into my hardware rig, because that's the one I will be moving. I will add a rig locomotion component. And here I want to teleport, so I will use a beam. And we have did a little option just to spawn a beamer and to make sure that we are able to show a line on our controller, from our controllers to point somewhere. We have also an option to add a little fader so that when you teleport, you have a fade to black so that you don't feel sick. Of course, I want to teleport on something. I need some ground, so we will add some ground here. So let's add a plane and put it at the center of the room. For locomotion, clearly you need to specify on which layer you want to move, because you don't want to teleport on the head of someone else. So you have to define specific layers. That's something you can do into our locomotion target specification of the rig locomotion. Here I will do the opposite. I will say, okay, I agree to move on everything. That's not something you should do. And now we will be able to move, and it will be a bit easier to see who is who. So as I said, the idea is to have the network rig for the local user following the hardware rig. So what happens here is that when I'm moving the hardware rig, my network representation will move. So moving the rig is in fact moving the play area for your player. It's not moving your head, we are moving the play area itself, and your various rig parts, the hand and the head, will follow. So, can we see my screen a bit in the lower corner? So here you see I have a little array, and we'll be able to teleport to some point. I will zoom out here while the other one is connecting. Where am I? I will go back to him because my camera is not at the proper position so that you can see me. So here I am driving this one. I will go back so that it will be a bit more interesting to this one. So I will move the camera properly here so that you can see both point of view. So something to have in mind when you are doing multi-user, it's always a bit confusing to determine who is who when you don't have specific avatar and this kind of thing, so you have to deal with it. So here I am, I've been able to teleport. Here I am on this computer, that's me. It is the other player, and you can see me in action here with my hand synchronizing, of course, but with both controller tracking, and once the controller has settled, and with finger tracking. So that's available out of the box in our component, so you have it available. So let's add something a bit more funny. So we spoke about grabbing. So we have basic component to allow grabbing. globally, on your hardware rig, you need to add some grabber component. We have something that do it out of the box for you. You just add a grabbing setup component on your hardware rig, and from there, you will be able to grab things. This component also allows you to grab offline component. For instance, if you have something that you want to grab in a menu, but that other people don't see. Here, I want to grab just something networked. So I will create a little cube. A little cube, let's say 20 centimeters. I will put it in front of the default place. And I want it to be something that we can grab. So for that, we have one component that we created, the network grabbable. This thing is a network behavior. So it's a component where we have properties that are networked. You can create your own, of course. And this one is a sample that we provide to you so that you can understand, but you can also use it. As it is a network behavior, it's only relevant to have this on a network object, on something that is synchronized on the network. So you need to have this network object that is the heart of the description of the network object. One network object can have a lot of network behavior for various needs. And I will save it. It's just saying that this object was not saved yet. But this thing does not deal with synchronization. You have then to synchronize position and rotation. For that, we have one component that is available inside the Fusion SDK, the network transform. And globally, what you have to keep in mind is that when you have this setup, one network transform, when you are moving the object, it will be synchronized on the network, and you don't have to worry about this. And also, it deals for you with interpolation and things like that, so that things are smooth everywhere. There's one little thing we want to do here. Here, in this mode, people can take control of object and say, okay, from now on, I will deal with the position and the properties of this object. But to do that, we need to say, oh, we allow people to take control on this object. So we need to say, oh, we allow state authority override. That means just changing the object. Here, I want people to grab the object, one player or the other, so I need to do that. And also, I don't want the current user that is grabbing it, if it deconnects, the object to be destroyed. So I just uncheck destroy when state authority leave, and you are ready to go. So here, I will launch and explain an additional thing while we are waiting. So here I am creating a scene object. So these objects are saved into the scene, into the Unity scene. And so the first player that will connect to the scene that will make sure that these objects are created as network object. Of course, it's not the most common thing to do. In many games, you will spawn objects only when you need them. And of course, it is possible to do it on the fly. But it is simpler for demonstration to show to you how to do this, to do it this way. So who am I? Let's say I am this one. Can you see? So I have my little cube, and I will make sure that the other player can see things because my camera is not at a very interesting position. So that's me. That's me. And here I have my cube. And of course, we made sure, as we have finger tracking, I put my controller down that just by pitching, you are able to move the object too. And on our side, the network transform make sure that things are quite interpolated. Here it's a bit laggy because my computer is laggy due to the dual installation. Then we'll try to do something interesting because my little avatar has no face. It's a bit sad. Sorry. I have no smile here. So we will add a smile by adding voice support. So for that, you will need to have the Photon Voice SDK. So it is already installed by default in the project because we know that most of the time you will probably need both, or at least you might want to try it at some point. So to add support for it, you have a few components to add. You have the voice documentation for that. It's not very hard, but also to help you, we prepared one add-on, voice helpers, that make it very hard to add. So you just have to go to next to your runner. You say you add the Fusion voice setup component, and it will do everything for you. Globally, it will do the equivalent of the network runner for voice here, and it will also set up a recorder to capture your microphone. Then you need to make sure that your network user has appropriate setup for the sound to have spatialized audio and so on. To make it a bit simpler, we have prepared some prefab already available with, I will show it here, with a smile. So we can see your lips moving, because we have also added the basic component so that voice can work on an object, so the voice network object. But we have did a sample lip sync code. Of course, you can do things a bit more advanced with other components, with Ready Player Me, avatars, and so on. But here you can see, or you can access the raw data directly. And things are quite transparent. So here we could take this little guy, and we will have exactly what we need. But I want to customize it a bit, because from here I was always using predefined network rig. I will do my own now. So for this, I will do a variant. Let's say I will call it a custom. Sorry, a custom network rig. I will create a variant. And okay. And you remember in my network manager, I had this user spawner thing where I was selecting the network rig to spawn. I will take my custom one. So what did I want to custom? So here you have this basic setup where you have a network rig, you have a network controller, a network rig controller, and so on. But I want to add one specific thing. I want to make sure that you don't use voice data when you are far away from someone else. So here in this sample, it won't occur. We are too far, too close to each other. But in, let's say, a meeting application, or if you want to make an application with an event or a theater application, you will need to have this kind of thing. So for that, we have made dynamic audio group. That's an add-on that makes sure that, okay, let's say that after 15 meters, the voice will be shut down. You can define the value you want, of course. And just to make it a bit more visible, because we won't be able to hear this here because I'm alone, and it's unless I set a very slow value, it will be hard to reach this. We have one component, display dynamic audio group info, that will show a little bubble to explain to you the area that you are covered. And here, with just a few minutes, you have an application where you are able to grab things, to speak, to synchronize your voice, and to have live synchronization, and to make sure that your voice does not use data all the time, just when you are near to someone else. So just to show you the little bubbles. So the bubble part is not required in a real life application. It is mostly a debugging tool to help you to see your how your room setup will match the area that you are covering. So I think, yes, the bubble is really big here. But let's say that if I move, you will see the bubble slightly move too. Here you go, because we are adapting the position. So I won't show the other one, in fact, because Unity is slow and it doesn't show anything. Keep in mind that this thing has been tested properly. And so your voice transmission will be shut down outside of the bubble. So let's move on with more funny things. Drawing and 3D drawing. So for that, we have several add-ons. In fact, for basic needs, the network behavior I described to you will be perfect. You will have network properties that will allow to synchronize a color or simple things quite easily. But if you want to stream, to synchronize complex data, and especially if you want to create user content and to be sure that people who are connecting a bit late receive this data, we have a data sync helper add-on that take care of that for you. It's a bit technical, but you have a documentation, you can use it. And one sample add-on that use it is line drawing, where you can use this feature to actually draw in 3D. So in our add-ons folder, we have the line drawing add-on. And in the demo, we have a prefab, a pen. So it's not a beautiful pen. You can add your own model on it. Let's move it a bit on the side. Here you go. I will save, and that's it. You have a 3D drawing out of the box with that. So the prefab is configured. I will launch and speak at the same time. So the prefab is configured to spawn a network object. As I said before, we have send object like this pen, but we have also network object that we want we have also objects that we spawn at runtime, sorry, that are not built in the scene. And for instance, a drawing will be a new object. And this prefab includes a reference to those prefab we are spawning on the network. So I will try to make sure that you can see me. Where am I? Can we see something? Yes, we can see something. On the right, it's not very pleasant. Let's see here, it feels better. And here. So the lines are not very smooth because as I'm laggy, I don't have 72 FPS. And we have made sure that when you stop drawing, you can grab and move the object. And so you can see the relation here on both sides. So you have this out of the box in our add-on folder, but you can also have, sorry, I forgot one thing. We can also have MXPen integration. So I spoke to you earlier about Stylus. We can have it quite easily because we have an add-on dedicated to that. So let's see this. So in our add-ons, we have things regarding feature, technical things, but also sometimes we have hardware integration. So the MX ink pen is quite interesting. So we have added a dedicated integration to make it quick to integrate it. So we use the Logitech script that describes the interface of the pen. And then, as I said before, in our setup, we have hardware objects that allow their network counterpart to follow them. Here, we'll simply add a new kind of rig part, the stylus. So if I go into the add-on, we have hardware MX pen. So I won't go into the code, of course, too long, but just to show you, if I look at the script, this hardware MX pen is indeed an hardware rig part, like your hand or controller or whatever. So you could do your own if you wanted just by looking at this thing. Of course, you know that as I made an hardware rig part, you now need the network version of it. So I will go into my custom rig. Let's go back to the MX pen folder. And indeed, I have a new rig part for the pen, the network version. And here again, as I said, if I go to if I look quickly at the script, it is a network rig part. And just with that, you will have your pen. If you are trying to use it during a competition or so on, it is very interesting. Keep in mind that you might want to have both finger tracking and controller tracking, or add-ons allow it, but you will need to configure the option to allow it at the same time. Maybe I will start the pen. It would be a good idea to do so. Oh, do I have, why isn't it starting? Ah, here we go. It's starting. And yeah, so we have the pen. So it's quite pleasant to use. If you have not tested it, it's very funny. And we have did the same option. So we have the option to grab the object as it was, as if it was an hand or a controller. Again, my camera is not perfectly set up. Here you go. So of course you can don't worry if you have specific tools and hardware you want to support. It is possible quite easily with this pattern. We made 3D drawing, and in fact 2D drawing is a bit more complex because you might want to be several people at the same time writing on one board or post-it or whatever. So we made a separate add-on for that, but globally it is quite similar on the technical side. Just the architecture of the synchronization is a bit more complex, and so it was important for us to showcase this to you because drawing alone something is interesting, but in many cases you will want to have several people interacting at the same time. So we have showcased it. You have the documentation if you want to go deep dive, but if you just want to use a pen, we can simply add it here. So we have the texture drawing add-on, and inside it we have a drawer. it's another kind of pen. It's a 2D pen. So it's a bit a shame that we have a 2D pen and a 3D pen and you can't have both. You can have both. Just if you take only the texture drawing, it was not possible to add 3D drawing because maybe you don't want to have the 3D capability, but we will add it here. So on the 3D pen, in fact, to have the 3D drawing effect, you just need this component, network grabbable line drawer, saying which prefab you want to spawn when you are drawing something and what is the tip of your pen. We will simply add this component on our other pen, network grabbable line drawer. I will add the prefab for the drawing that is available by default in the line drawing add-on. You can add your own drawing if you don't want to have the grabbing part, or if you want to have another kind of logic, or if you want to maybe create a mesh from the line drawing or things like that. And I just set up the tip so that the drawing starts at the proper position and your component is ready to go. So to see how to use this component, you can watch the documentation, or simply in every add-on you have a demo scene where you can imitate what is available. And regarding the demo scene, to have something to draw on a bit better than just a big board, we have a sticky note add-on where we have prefabs for the grabbable sticky note. I will take this one, and I have also a magnetic board that use another add-on to have basic magnets. We have more advanced things, but let's start with that for today. And I think I have a setup where I can do funny things. And we finish the hands-on part on this one. I should set up the camera properly beforehand because we won't see the board otherwise. Yeah, it will be better this way. So of course, these components have their own documentation. You can use the demo scene as a sample, read the documentation, but if you have any issue with them, or if you think you see an additional need that would be relevant for your project, don't hesitate to ping us and to contact us. It will be quite relevant for us to address this. So I'm lagging a bit now. So as I said, I've added line drawing. If I'm not wrong, it's working. And we have texture drawing with blocking contact. So when I'm trying to press up to a point, I won't go through the post-it, but then I can draw normally. Here we go. And then the magnet is just a simple repositioning thing. I will put it here. And here we go. So that's it for this setup. But as you saw, we have a lot of other add-ons. And I will speak about 2 additional add-ons after this part. But again, you can test it, go through the samples, play with the repository, test all the demo. You can see what you can do just out of the box. And then we can build better things together if you have some questions. So in addition to what we saw during the hands-on, I just want to have a quick preview of some add-ons that are quite relevant in our current context. The first one and the main one I want to address is the Anchor add-on. Because it covers something that we quite often need in mixed reality setup. Something that is rarely recurrent in mixed reality setup is to be able to co-localize. So to do so in a meta context, you can use meta shared spatial anchors, sorry. So it's possible to do so. But if you want to have something very quick to set up and also something a bit more cross-platform maybe, or if you want to address big rooms, for instance, for location-based event, this kind of thing, we made this add-on. So I will show a quick video, a very short video to showcase what is happening. So the idea of this add-on, sorry, if the video is starting, let's go. So the idea of this add-on, of this part of the add-on at least, is just to say to you, look at a marker, let's say a QR code, for instance. And you know, when you start a mixed reality application, you won't be positioned at the proper position by default. Your real life position and your network position is not the same. So here we will see both users looking at the QR code. And immediately when the second user will look at the QR code, it will be synchronized at the proper position. You will see it No, and that's it. And in this add-on, we make sure that if you have several people in the room, it works. If you have several QR code and you chain the QR code, it works. And then we also make sure, of course, that the dynamic audio group, you know, that is controlling the voice, is doing the opposite of what it is doing normally. I mean, we are making sure that when you are in the same real life room, you don't hear people next to you. That's the opposite of what we want in remote virtual reality. So when you have someone detected in the room, the voice will be shut down if you add the proper component. It can be relevant for things like, okay, you have several people in one room, but also for when you have several rooms like that, several people in one room locally and that are connecting with several people in another room remotely. You can also use it in a location-based event. For instance, you know, if you want to say, oh, this encore, it will be predefined at a given position with this environment and 3D object around it, so that if you know exactly your room setup, you can add into your Unity scene predefined encores, and you will co-localize and position properly immediately as soon as you see a QR code. And that's quite interesting to have this if you have very big locations. Note that the same sample can also be used to reposition object. Mostly it is an add-on about stabilizing position. Regarding this add-on, here I showed to you QR code, but of course, you can use anything that can be detected with OpenCV also. We showcase in the add-on how to use Aruco OpenCV marker, but you could use anything you want to address. You could even use things that are not markers. For instance, you could say, oh, I will say to my customer, please select the two corners of your table. Select the same table with your friends, and you will be collocated at the same position. We simply define position in space, and from that we can start a collocation. Also, in this add-on, in the next version, you will have the possibility to move remote rooms, because in mixed reality, many times you probably started discussing with somebody inside your wall, and that's a very common thing in mixed reality application where you need to address, okay, we have this mix of real life room and virtual room. Or do we make sure that these things are comfortable? And we will try to showcase something quite interesting in the future for that, as well as making sure that you can synchronize your walls and furniture pieces so that you can have an understanding of what is happening remotely. And to finish on the add-on, one little one that is very cool to see that we have prepared for the training sample. I will just show the video while I'm speaking. So we have prepared an add-on that allow you to build an object with several parts and making sure that every part stay autonomous. You can have several players can stay in control of various parts of the object without having to change the authority on that. It will still work, and you can plug an object in it while you are another player instead is still grabbing the object. You can also split an object in several parts just by grabbing it and splitting it to parts, either from one user or for both users. You can take one part of the object, someone else takes the other part, the object is split. So this thing is available inside the training sample, but it is also available as a dedicated add-on that you can see. And in the add-on, you have a demo scene with little cubes that you can move and stick together. And it's quite funny to test. You can play with it if you want. Of course, all of this, it's mostly the tip of what we can do to help you. So we have other add-ons. Most of our work is focused on supporting customers that are calling us to have specific needs or to have custom adaptation. Don't hesitate to contact us. I will put my link in the chat so that you can have it if you need to contact us. But globally, it's quite easy. Just join our Discord and you will be able to find us. Don't hesitate to ping us if you have any question. And clearly, making these things simpler is very, very, very important for us because we want your app to thrive and we want to see what you will create, and we don't want you to have to focus on things that might seem complex, but really the idea is to show you that you can start right now, today, without any expertise on networking, and it will work out of the box. So thank you a lot for listening. And if you have questions now, don't hesitate. It will be my pleasure to answer them. Farhan, maybe you saw some questions.
Wonderful. Perfect timing.
Yeah, speed up a bit because I saw the
Yeah.
the hour gone.
Yeah. Now we will have also info session in a few minutes. So let's answer the questions. Question for exposure, Pan2 versus Fusion. Photon versions, what are better on Unity? Both destroy old projects
So
because they are complex.
So Pun is another SDK that we are providing. Now it's more into legacy mode, but if you are using it, don't worry, we won't shut it down for as long as we think about it. We have no reason to do so, so you can go on using it, and it's totally fine. Regarding Unity, both are totally fine with Unity. Just keep in mind that with Fusion, you have more things that are covered out of the box very easily. The networking properties, as I explained before, is very, very easy to use in Fusion. You have to do things a bit more manually in Pun. Also, the interpolation is a bit more clever here. And also, if you have more advanced need, you are over kind of topologies. Here, I've just addressed one topology very quickly because it was not the point of this presentation, but in fact, Fusion has other possibilities. Also, Sébastien explained before that area of interest is something very important. It is quite easy to use out of the box in Fusion. So you can use both, but clearly today, it is totally relevant to use Fusion, and as Pun2 is going deprecated for a new project, there is no sense into using Pun today. So you should switch to Fusion, and it will be fine. And for those of you who are using Unreal, I've focused on Unity here. Keep in mind that we have products that are coming to Unreal 2. So you'll be able to use Unreal in the same way if needed. Don't worry about that.
Wonderful. Question for one more. What are the two real use cases that you were simulating via Unity editor?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
What are the two real use cases that you were simulating via the Unity editor?
The use cases here, it was mostly, let's say, a meeting application. We were doing things and we were crafting something. Globally, let's just say that we had a dispenser for the post-it, and you have the base for a meeting application out of the box. So the use case that we are demonstrating is mostly a meeting app, but in fact, you can do whatever you want because this drawing thing, you can use it to paint a figurine to do a war game at some point. So here we use it mostly to craft 3D lines, but the texture drawing thing could be used to be able to draw with other user. You could draw your little figurine and prepare your figurine for a war game. So it could be the kind of thing we are. We have one showcase where in the metaverse sample, where we show how to paint invisible object in the scene. It's a little game where you shoot at things in the void, and at some point you detect that you hit something and you are starting to paint it. And it's a possible option.
Perfect. One more question. Does MetaLink automatically swap between the simultaneously opened projects? I have used Parallel Sync before to clone the project and have multiple clients. Do I have to do something else to test with a VR headset?
So it's a bit with Parallel Sync and 2Editor, indeed, maybe you saw that sometimes I was clicking on the scene before clicking on the game view, and you need to play a bit with that so that it works. Clearly, most of the time we are working as a team with other people, and it's easier to test like that. But if you are alone, you can do it like that. Just keep in mind that with the meta component, when you are selecting the other computer, your hand tracking will be disabled. And so your hand and controller tracking will be disabled, and in fact, your avatar won't move. And you can test, if you want to test this kind of thing, you can also play with the hardware rig we have prepared, because we are using the input device API that is a bit stronger to that. So you will be able to see both of you players moving their hands. So maybe it can be relevant in some cases to use this too. At some point, you can also have a version where you have desktop control or simulate or to simulate user movement. But of course, the best thing is to have a team and to commit regularly and to have the same base to work together. And it is for VR in multiplayer, it is clearly so easier to test with someone else. And also, that's when you will feel things. As Sébastien said before, you have to feel things in VR.
Perfect, perfect. I think we have one more question. Can you please share the link for YouTube demonstration video? I think the previous video, is it under Photon YouTube page or?
So for the demonstration, this one is on the training sample page, and these two links. The one is on the last sample we made marker-based setup, and I shared here a quick link that you can see in this QR code that is inside the exact thing I did before if you want to set up the collocation part. So if you want to create yourself the collocation part very quickly, you have a setup where you see how to create the rig, how to spawn things, and how to prepare everything. Globally, this link will get you to this video. And in fact, this video, I will show it quickly to you and add the link oh, sorry, let's say that I will go on the website, it will be quicker. So if you go into the VR section in MetaQuest, you have Fusion MetaXR integration. It is the repository. I will just share the link in the channel. And inside this page, you have the video I was sharing. Inside it, you have more sample than just the one I was sharing. So the link was mostly focused on the QR code tracking. But if you go into this video, you will see that you have chapters. While it's opening, I'm sharing the link. So you have chapters describing several setup with Meta. So how to use our avatar, Meta avatar, add the voice, add grabbing, a bit similar to what I did, but not going too far. Probably what we saw today, I will prepare an additional video. We will prepare with Richard an additional video like that. But for this basic setup with Meta, just use the link I shared and you will find this video. Also, in this presentation, I didn't explain how to properly set up a project, how to create the Photon ID, these kind of things. You have this video that explains everything. So if you really want to start from scratch for Meta, you take these two videos and you are ready to go. And that's the link I shared in the channel. So for the hackathon, you can go to this page, just download the repository here, watch these two videos, and you are ready.
Perfect, perfect, great. We have one last question. Could it be used in conjunction with VPS localization in an open space, say using Niantic SDK?
We have not yet tested it. Clearly, it would be interesting. I had one question like that with a developer I met, but we have not yet tested it. So I prefer not to say anything, but don't hesitate to contact me and we can discuss it. At some point, we discuss quickly about this topic and I think we will test it. But globally, regarding the collocation thing, it's a very basic thing. We have a marker tracking system that smooth the position in space to be sure to have something reliable. And then we just have mathematical libraries to make sure that you position your rig so that your head is at the proper position to the QR code. And this kind of thing, no matter what you have under the hood, you can just take the method we shared in the mathematical library and you are ready to go. Of course, it might be a bit complex, so it would be better if we check it first so that we can tell it to you. Maybe I will note the question so that I could answer it, but don't hesitate to ping me. I shared my LinkedIn and I can have a look if it's not too obvious.